Hello, welcome back or welcome to another episode of A Little Atypical. My name is Aleja, you can call me Lay, and as you can tell from the title of the video, what we're going to be talking about is taking care of ourselves in the summer. I apologize if you hear background noise. Since it is going to be the summer season, it is going to be a lot louder. I'm probably going to have to reformat how I post and re-edit my podcast in the summer, but I'll talk about that and leave that till the end. And honestly, I want to kind of get right into our summer self-care tips. Usually when people talk about self-care, they kind of jump into the more beautifying things, the aesthetic things. But what I want to talk about is kind of more safety and just things like that. I think especially in the summer, we need to hear like things about safety, things about how to protect ourselves, and of course we are still going to mention happiness and mindset, but that's kind of vibe I wanted to get into today, and let's get started. The first topic, of course, I had to mention was the skin and skincare habits and everything like that. Let's talk about the necessities in the summer. I think because it is hotter, you sweat more, we need to talk about overall skin protection and the necessary skincare for, well, all year round in general is cleansers, moisturizers, and sunscreen. And I really wanted to focus in on sunscreen because I remember listening to something and they were like how many young adults don't use sunscreen, which is kind of strange because I remember seeing a lot more about skin protection, and maybe it's because I was in a beauty major that a lot more people were talking about sunscreen, skin protection, and always talked about products we use to take care of ourselves. I'm just going to do a brief rundown of things with sunscreen and try to simplify it as much as possible. But yes, so sunscreen. First of all, there are two types of sunscreen typically, which is mineral sunscreens. It is also called a physical sunscreen and chemical sunscreen. Mineral sunscreen first, because I do think this is the more common one. So what it does is it sits on top of the skin and it kind of reflects the UV rays as opposed to a chemical sunscreen which absorbs on the top layer of your skin. Mineral sunscreens typically have a white cast. Obviously, as a black girl, this is something very important to me. I do not love the white cast. I think it changes my entire skin tone and it just has this weird look. But in general, I do think that from research, it does say that it might be better for people with sensitive skin and for people who don't want it so deeply to absorb in their skin. And when I was looking it up, it also mentions it's probably better for children, women who are pregnant to wear mineral sunscreens as opposed to chemical, because since it absorbs into the top layer of your skin, some people may not find it as safe. And I do believe reading that the ingredients in mineral sunscreens are more reef safe, so I think it's better if you go swimming in the ocean or something like that. But in terms of choosing the right sunscreen, I do think it's important to understand what type of form you prefer. Typically, the forms of sunscreen are lotion sunscreens, spray sunscreens, and stick sunscreens. And with spray sunscreens, because of the easy way of applying, it's also very easy to miss a spot. So you have to be careful with application, but regardless, you have to reapply your sunscreen. In general, it says that you should aim for SPF 30 or higher. It just affects and influences how long it can last before you reapply, because the thing is it's a misconception that higher sunscreens mean you don't need to reapply, but you should reapply. I believe it's at around every 2 hours, but I would need to fact check that. And I do think with different brands, it does say on the back of when you should reapply or when it wears off. Sunscreen, even though it is a form of product, with the products, they can either be categorized by the FDA as cosmetic or a drug. And because of the ingredients in sunscreen and the fact sunscreen is used as a way to protect people, I believe is categorized as a drug. Also, another thing to look for when it comes to choosing your sunscreen is check for water resistance, especially if you plan to do activities like swimming or if you're a person who even sweats a lot. So that's very important to consider when choosing your sunscreen. Personally, my favorites, I use Black Girl Sunscreen, and I also really enjoy Kapari. But I am open to trying different sunscreens, but so far those have just been my personal favorites. Continuing on from the sunscreen chat, I would also suggest wearing lightweight makeup because it's so easy for your skin to get more clogged in the summer because of the sweat. And then also, I do have a belief that pollution just lays on our face every time we go outside, especially if you're in like an urban, big city type. Also, if you have allergies, of course, being outside around plants. So honestly, make sure to wash your face when you are done going outside for a night. I think it's just really important. And it also helps your skin a lot. For bonus skincare for the season, obviously anything that's a treatment should be in your skincare routine. Those are very like individual and personalized. But also, one thing I would actually keep on hand is aloe vera. One, because it's very moisturizing. And two, that if you do happen to get sunburn or you're a person who sunburns easily, aloe vera is the perfect thing to have a cooling effect on the sunburn. And honestly, in general, I just like having it around. One last thing I do think you need for skin protection is, of course, bug sprays, because summer is the season for bugs. And if you don't want to be eaten alive for mosquitoes, this is your reminder. Get bug spray. Next thing on the list, I'm going to aim to talk about more safety precautions. So specifically with exercising and movement. Of course, because it's summer, it's hotter. It puts us at risk for heat exhaustion, heat stroke. In order to prevent those things, I wanted to compile a list of, I guess, fitness safety. Because especially since, as I talked about in last episode, I've been very focused on daily movement, and I want to continue that on, hopefully through the summer. And then hopefully by fall, maybe I'll switch out how I exercise again. But I'm really just trying to focus more on the present moment. According to research, the best thing you can do is if you do exercise, try to do it at cooler points of the day, which for that, it can look like in the morning or in the early evening. But regardless, you should check the weather in your area. And of course, another thing that could help is working out in cooler environments that do have AC. So that is the good thing about gyms, because I do believe when I did work out in a gym, like a few times in high school, a lot of times, another thing, usually certain gyms have like student passes so you can work out for free in the summer. I can't remember what gym that is, but that's just an idea of something you can do in the summer if you are still a student. I believe it was students in high school, but memory is not serving me right now. But that's just something that popped in my head, so random note. Back to what I was saying. Doing exercises in cooler environments, like inside a gym or even doing home workouts, could be very helpful. And also, right after doing a workout, obviously, I suggest showering, because it's not good to stay in sweaty clothes, but especially in the summer, I think it causes a lot of chafing. So, instant shower, a cold shower if you can, I think that would be a great idea. And if you do have to work out like when it is hot, like from the times of between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., do a activity that's cooling, like swimming is a really good exercise. And it's like the type of exercise that doesn't feel like a workout, even though I'm not personally a swimmer, but water activities could be a great thing to do in the summer. Because swimming, surfing, even if you enjoy surfing, when I looked up activities, it also suggested like aqua aerobics. I did not know that was a thing, but yeah, it is a thing. And obviously, the best thing you can do for yourself is staying hydrated. We need to have a hydrated girl, guy, people summer. So make sure to stay hydrated and honestly focus on the best way for you to drink water, because some people say when they have a large bottle of water that they drink more water, and I think that is true for some people, but other people, they kind of like having a smaller water bottle and just keep refilling it. One thing I noticed is if I do have a large water bottle, I kind of get intimidated by it. So figure out what works better for you and just stay hydrated. Oh, and in addition, this one I forgot to mention when I was talking about working out before. If you do work out, make sure your clothes are light in color and also kind of loose and not a tight fitting fabric and a fabric that can overheat you and cause chafing. That's just a reminder. Try to wear loose clothing when working out. Okay, so our last section is going to be on happiness and keeping a healthy mind. So, first things first, this is something I really wanted to mention because I know that summer could have this pressure of wanting to socialize because either we get so caught up in our lives during, like, if you're a college student, sometimes the spring semester, fall semester, you're so focused on maintaining good grades that you don't really make time for socializing as much. Back to socializing, I had to pause because there was a dog barking and the mic really could have picked up on that. But anyways, so socializing, I do think in the summer we have this need to socialize a lot more. So this is just your reminder that even if you want to be out more, socialize more, also remember to take time for solitude, even if it's a short amount of solitude. And that can look like 10 to 20 minutes a day of alone time. And I do think this is important no matter who you are, because let's say you have responsibilities over other people, like if you have kids or maybe you're an older sibling and you usually have to help out with your siblings, still having some time of day dedicated to yourself and having a moment to breathe and just some alone time could be very healthy for you. Because I know sometimes we feel pressure to pack our days as much as we can, but this is your reminder that alone time is still very important. And of course, because it's summer, make sure to get outside as much as possible. This is coming from someone who struggles throughout the year and everything to get outside. But for some reason in the summer, even just taking a stroll on a boardwalk or walking to a park or just something just makes me feel a lot more energized. And this is coming from someone who's not as much as a nature girl as I would like to be. But yes, this is something you can even do as your solitude if you want. Overall, summer should be about the experience, you know? It should be about trying new things, whether it's volunteer work, which is something I hope to do this summer, hobbies for me, which has been a lot of crafting, interning, or work. A lot of people usually report having summer jobs or just trying something new, and that's just something. And learning about something that fascinates you is also a very good thing and a very good self-care method for the summer. Overall, just do the things that bring you joy. And like I said, what brings me joy may not bring you joy. And I do think this is a very personalized thing because I know a lot of people have like direct tips on this, but I do think we have to look more towards our personality, the personality we have, and the personality we want to have and bridge the gap. So, regardless of who I am now and who I want to be, both of us really enjoy creating in different forms. Obviously, I create through doing this podcast. I want to get better at video and video editing and being comfortable in front of a camera, writing, and different forms of writing. So all types of creating is something I just want to do. And also I prefer more intellectual wellness pursuits like reading and just understanding different topics. Currently it's 11:11, so make a wish. Anyways, as I was saying, something I do enjoy is rewatching shows because I'm a person who it is very hard to start new shows, especially unless there's very new releases. Like, I've been watching Bridgerton, and the thing is, I just started this year, even though it's been out for years. It's just like, I never watched it, so I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. When I'm not watching anything precisely new, I am typically watching like stuff that I've already watched before, whether it's like a K-drama or an anime or cartoons, because sometimes I want the nostalgia. Especially, I have the Boomerang, so old shows, so like old Looney Tunes. I've been watching A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I remember loving that as a kid. And just having that on Sundays just brings such a nostalgic vibe because I've been trying to have like more lazy Sundays, I guess. Not necessarily like bed rotting, but kind of like into nostalgia. That's kind of what I want for the season, like something that heals my inner childhood, stuff that's freeing and fun, and also activities that bring me back home into myself, while also wanting to work on who I want to become. And honestly, that's a year-round journey for me. I don't think I stop that depending on the season. I think I just do it in different ways. And with summer, when it comes to, I guess, working on myself, I think it's more about connecting more than anything. And I've been saying that since spring, but it's been really true that I think this has been like my more social time. Another thing I do is look for inspiration. I leave my deeper thoughts, my more moody type perspectives for the fall sometimes. Last suggestion for happiness and joy before I end off is about imperfectly capturing moments. So I think with May, I talked about this a little, how I felt like I wasn't romanticizing life enough, and I came up with this idea. It has to do with capturing moments. On one end, I know that social media has sometimes pushed us to be less in the moment, but I think I figured out a way how to kind of balance it out. For me, that's imperfectly capturing moments. So setting a timer, 45 seconds, and just taking as much pictures as possible until the alarm goes off. And the reason why is because in a short amount of time, you won't keep trying to get the perfect shot. The point is getting as much candid shots as possible and moving on. And then when you want to reflect on the experience, like if you are doing like a journaling practice among the things you do and the activities you do, write down what the experience was. Like, let's say it was going to an amusement park with your friends. That should be it. Say the amusement park name, put the date, and just say what it is. And then in 3 short words, describe the experience. because you don't need a lot of words. And sometimes I think we try to over explain, and then that's how the process gets a little daunting with journaling. But just trying to describe it 3 words only, or like 1 to 3 words. Like if you don't need more than one, that's also an option, but no more than 3 words to really connect to the moment. So when you say that word, it connects the experience. And also gives you a chance to learn new words for the summer if, again, intellectual is more of your pursuit. But that is all for taking care of yourself in the summer. I'm probably going to have a little more ideas in the show notes. And with that being said, I'm just going to go into an announcement. So obviously, I've been working on show notes for a while. Currently, I'm only up to 7 episodes. And my podcast, this is now the 27th episode, I believe. And I really am trying to catch up. So I don't know what content creation will look like, because I do want to go more into content, especially on my YouTube channel in July, because I feel like that's the perfect time to practice video content. And I don't know where that leaves the podcast, because sometimes I do like having the podcast because then I get to express myself a lot more freely than I would be comfortable in with video content. And I don't want to just not post podcast episodes. It is hard trying to catch up on doing show notes and then having to make a whole new episode, coming up with a whole new idea, outlining the whole idea, and then trying to come up with bonus content to put underneath it, and then wondering if it will be there on time. I don't know what podcasting will look like in the summer, but I'm just putting that out there because there's so many other places that I will be creating content. One is my blog, and the other is my YouTube channel. And I'm still kind of figuring out how does content look like for me, because I know people post content for different reasons. And for me, content creation is a creative outlet, and it also is to keep myself accountable. So I post a little differently on social media. I just wanted to kind of let that be known in case I end up not posting on my podcast for a while, to catch up. And I didn't want to just leave things high and dry. So yes. And I know that's also why I've been making slightly longer episodes. And on top of that, recording in the summer is a lot more chaotic than the winter or the fall, or when people are in school. Like, I keep getting so many interruptions because it's not like I have a studio. So you can pick up on the sounds around me, whether it's like a small dog barking, people driving fast. You can kind of hear it. And I try to cut those things out as best as I can. So many sounds, and it does get distracting. So with that being said, I want to now do the card pull of the episode. I use the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck because I can't find my self-care one, which is upsetting me. But it's fine. The card we got was Morning, the World Awaits You. So it says, you've been alive, sure. You've been waking up, doing what you need to get through your day, going back to sleep, repeat. Have you been living though? Truly living. I think you need to hear this now more than ever. Your life is incredibly precious. Out there, the world awaits you. Now is the time to make good moments and learn to treasure them as they come. If you ask me, that is so perfect for this episode, so perfect for summer, and it's just a vibe. I don't know. I've been so happy about summer. I've been feeling the craving to be more social and get out of hermit mode. So, and also talk more authentically and freely and just explore my different thoughts. But yeah, I just want to experience life more this summer. and maybe like that experience will help me figure out other aspects of my life, because sometimes the best way to do your decision making and follow through is just trying other things and learning more about yourself through doing experiences. So yes. Anyways, to end off what I am grateful for, I am grateful that I made progress in more on the behind the scenes stuff, because besides working on the show notes, if you've been on my blog, you know that I've been creating more digital content, and I am figuring out more behind the scenes stuff of how the shop could work. And I don't know, I feel like in that area and in different areas of things I wanted this year, I have been making progress, even if it hasn't been all perfect, because sometimes, you know, you can't expect the outcome. You can only try your best to focus on the actions you do, and the outcome will be what follows. You can't predict it, you can't control it, just control your actions. So I think I've been doing really great on that, and not being so hyper fixated on kind of just the results, because in February I really was in my head about the results and feeling very panicked and stuff. So I feel like from there I made a lot of progress to move forward, and I think in July I want to continuously move forward and kind of focus my energy on that and be more ambitious in the ways I want to. So I'm kind of grateful for the evolution, grateful for what's been happening behind the scenes, and I just feel grateful for the people in my behind the scene life. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, have a good day, evening, or night whenever you're listening to this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you are on YouTube. It would mean the world to me, even if you're not on YouTube, to check out my YouTube channel. But with that being said, I will be heading now. Okay, bye.